Islam, Dewayne, Byfield-Bey, Islam. I'm Rhonda Arrington-Bey is your wife. His day is June the 9th, 2019. Last night, Islam. I'm saying Islam and good morning. Making me a cup of coffee again. I'm about to go take care of my business and upload the video here. So, today is a good day so far. Last night, or this morning, my genitals were attacked in a sexual manner. And I'm going to tell you how, give you a description of what happened. Now, before I woke up in the middle of the night and I was doing a prayer, and I told Imani about how Allah uses everything. So when these unclean spirits, whether it's the Negro, Black, African American, these unclean are all, are under that status is unclean. But those that are unclean, the pale skin, unclean, not all, but those that are, obviously it's too many. The United States rate 35 in some statistics in reference to physical health, and you know that is demonstrating the health of the inhabitants of this landmass physically, and physical health is connected to mental health. Okay, so if the United States is not considered civilized among other civilized nations, the pale skin, that's not, the white is not a nationality. Black, African American is not a nationality, but in that which speaks Spanish, they have conflicts with nationality. So you know that we are among too many unclean spirits that are causing disease or diseases of the mind, the body, and the spiritual mind and the body. So I woke up in the middle of the night and I was telling Imani about how everything, every spiritual attack we are supposed to be using to make ourselves stronger mentally, spiritually. All spiritual attacks should be looked upon as lessons, because time never was when man was not. Okay, we're not like them, of unclean spirits, those that are created experiments, diseased abominations. We're not the same. After they get through using that which is unclean, get through using this filth, they exterminate them. They're gone. Used, exterminate. Use, exterminate. But just like Pharaoh in Exodus, Allah used Pharaoh in Exodus to help bring the Israelites back to their true covenant, to Allah, bring them back to their true selves. That's exactly how these unclean, these spiritual attacks should be used. We're supposed to be strengthening ourselves spiritually and mentally. And so last night, after I said that to him, I woke him up around about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning to tell him that. And because I heard him making noises in his sleep, and usually when he's making noises in his sleep, I hear unclean spirits outside around the room, whether they have a pale skin accent, a Negro Black accent, or Spanish, female and male, talking outside and around the room here at American Extended Stay. And so I wake him up to tell him to do a spell over himself, because these spells, we as Hebrew Muslims, our nationality Moorish American, we're supposed to be learning these, relearning these spells to help strengthen ourselves spiritually and mentally, help cleanse our ancient ancestral line and keep it cleansed. So because you know, I have connected the dots of these spirits, these abominations being used to contaminate our ancient ancestral line as well, because we didn't know. We had no idea we were among such filth, abominations. So after that, I fell back to sleep. I kept seeing this visual that looked like one of the residents that, I'm not saying it was him. It's a Black Negro resident that I see walking outside out in the front of the door window constantly. And like I said, I keep still hearing the Black Negro accent or male mumbling, saying I love you. Even Spanish speaking, same thing. Or saying paid. I had to write a letter. You know, I told you about this, Dewayne, Byfield-Bey. Someone trying to force open a door here where I had a towel wrapped around me. So one of the things, one of the spiritual war tactics these spirits use is attacking someone in their sleep, attacking a soul, a spirit while they're sleeping. and demonstrating to try to have sex while they're asleep. So you're sleeping. You might have had a long day work, which I've had, and they'll attack you in your sleep and try to have sex with you. And then after that, if you're not aware, if you're not conscious, or if you don't wake up, after that, while you're walking, one of them start looking at you, and that maybe was that spirit looking at you and start saying that they're your husband or they're your wife. Okay, and this is a form of breeding. That's a breeding tactic. And then after they have done this for a while, they might feel comfortable to try to approach you, all right, on a physical plane, or feel comfortable to speak to you on a physical plane, feel comfortable to appear at your job and try to engage with you on a physical plane. Okay, and you think, what, you like, if you don't know why this spirit is stalking you, or why the spirit is thinking it's all right for them to do that. It's because one of them has sat around stalking, doing such things, or they being used to attack spiritually, so that which really wants to engage and possess your mind, it will be able to, because it's sort of like not that which maybe have a lot to lose. If found out, they're terrorists, have more to lose, using a filth to do spiritual attacks, okay, and hopefully to break down a soul or a spirit. So if they can break that spirit, whether it's a Asiatic male or Asiatic female spirit, that spirit of hope, that spirit of freedom, and if they break it down, then that which have more to lose, if confronted with lawfully, can approach that spirit or soul and try to act like it's some form of savior, a helper. Okay, in the meanwhile, all it's trying to do is possess, spiritually possess and breed. All right, because these unclean abominations are not just filth that are what you would consider under maybe making 17,000 a year. These are, you have unclean spirits, abominations that could be in the United States military, the army, that have not taken an oath or affirmed to uphold divine laws of freedom, the Constitution of 1787, the proclamations, 13th Amendment, 20 sections. Or they could be someone in a business suit making 400,000 a year, 600,000 a year. You don't know. So because these breeding tactics have gone on for a while, and they have used and they done different tactics to try to keep the frequency low on this landmass in the spirit of Mother Earth for an extremely long time. We just had no idea. So one of the things I was thinking, so what happened was my genitals were attacked, and the black male in the dream was like, literally there was and for these this science of attacking someone in their dream to be used, that takes a form of science that has to be that is definitely connected to some form of military science. Okay, now I don't know how the military science or scientists are able to, or how this science is able to be used, but definitely sending, for instance, waking up and hearing a song being replayed over and over again, mentally, that can cause dis-ease if allowed. So that is a form of military science. And also just having an unclean spirit sit around continuously saying the word paid, I love you, mumbly. All that is a psychological form of warfare, okay? And to attack the genitals in a sexual manner, in an open or behind closed doors, or while you sleep, is a psychological form of warfare, spiritually and mentally, okay? So so this black male, I'm not saying it was him, but it definitely looked like him, attacked my genitals while I was asleep. And I was sleeping hard because it took me a minute to get back to sleep after I woke Imani up to say a mental prayer of protection, a spell over himself of protection. And so I finally went back to sleep, and I was attacked spiritually by a Negro Blackie that looked like one of the spirits that be outside looking or piercing through the window, or smoking cigarettes. But I'm not saying and drinking alcohol out there, but I'm not saying it was him because I don't know. But I woke up within 5 seconds, and I did my prayer, and I'm okay. What I do, Dewayne Byfield-Bey, is try to wake up quickly. And when I wake up quickly, that helps. And also, I'm doing a prayer before I sleep, and when I wake up. Then I give testimony according to Revelation chapter 12. It sort of reminds me of in reference to psychological warfare. I remember when after 9/11, there was these pictures circulating on the internet of these Islamic men. Supposedly they were accused of performing acts of terrorism or being connected to some form of terrorism. These men that practice Islam, their form of Islam. And the military, the United States military, had them. And these pictures that were circulating on the internet showed these Muslim men being bent over, their pants down, their bottoms showing. And the people that was circulating this picture was saying that the United States men were actually committing acts of terrorism. They were sodomizing these men because they knew that it was torture. It was a form of torture because they knew that Muslim men they try their best. Those that really try to uphold these laws of freedom do not perform, or they don't participate in homosexual acts. Okay, so these United States military men were using a form of homosexual acts, sodomizing them in the anus to break them down. And the people that were circulating these pictures on the internet were saying this was not humane, this was animalistic, and this was beyond trying to get information from these men. And then the conspiracy about 9/11 was talked about, and other things were talked about, and how so I don't know all that, but what I'm getting at, why I bring this up, is in dealing with spiritual science and understanding that we are among unclean spirits. I can't tell you, Dewayne Byfield-Bey, how so many times when that looked to be in the status of African American or Negro is around, that's unclean in spirit, that I feel a tinkling or sensation around my anus. Okay, it's just like, for instance, knowing that my genital or my dreams were invaded in a sexual manner, and I have to get up and walk out among a telepathic community. Those that have the science of telepathy that Imani Great-Bey and I run the Arrington-Bey as Moorish Americans, Hebrew Muslims, have rejected. We don't want it. Okay, so obviously something is wrong with whatever science they use to get to give to masses of people. If you have masses of people behaving like savages, and not only that, the United States is not even considered civilized in reference to health, physical health, which connected to mental health amongst other civilized nations. So we reject the science of telepathy. But too many times I've noticed that I have felt a sensation, a tingling sensation, or a slight pain around my anus when that looked to be on the status of Negro, Black, or African American would try to engage, male and female. Or feel pain on my teeth when a pale skin that's unclean is around. And that's also when that which speaks Spanish. So even last night, before I fell asleep after I was giving him money, telling him to wake up and pray over himself, that same tingling sensation appeared. So that is definitely demonstrating the unclean spirits and how and what they lust for, because what they want to encourage: anal sex, okay, anal sex, rape, and other forms of unclean acts. So these unclean, diseased abominations, are demonstrating what their nature is. Islam. So so that's what those are my thoughts. So what I do is try to demonstrate of overcoming these spiritual attacks with strengthening myself mentally, and breathing works. So after I realized that when I woke up in about 5 seconds, I prayed and I felt better. Now I'm giving testimony. Sometimes they will attack my uterus, the inside right here, and right about here where the uterus is, and it could be a female, black, Negro, pale skin, Spanish speaking, might say paid. Once again, these are unclean spirits being used to do so, and 9 times out of 10 they're being used because that which have more to lose, if have enough proof to prove that they are connected, is probably sitting back. The true stalker is probably sitting back, using them, hoping for a chance to, after they feel like they have a chance, to approach someone such as me, my son Imani Gray-Bey, in a manner where they can look and be perceived as some form of helper. But the goal is spiritual possession, and to deter us as Moorish Americans from reclaiming our true birthrights and inheritance, Islam. So it might seem as though these are just spirits that are not manly, that are sadistic, that are unclean spirits that are being exterminated eventually, and they don't know how to behave, perform love or whatever. But it's deeper than that. These things have been foreseen, and this is strategically done. This is strategically done. Whether they can sit back and see if a soul has land, has money, has good credit, whatever they can do. And then when they realize that, they start, if that soul is not in a spirit of freedom, have not reclaimed their nationality, not in the constitutional fold, not is in that jurisdiction of bondage, they'll start working on how to possess the mind, causing that soul to be used as chattel property, and to keep furthering this cycle of keeping the frequency low by keeping a form of bondage. This is how I see billionaires being slaves. They're not in, they're possessed. They're not even in their true self. So what's the use of having a lot of money if you're not in a true state, true spirit of freedom? Islam. So anyway, I found this very interesting. So that's my connection. So another thing, in reference to, sometimes these spirits are able to attack your body where you feel like literally like your body is just really like tightening up. Your chakras are tightening up. What I do is deep breathe as I'm working, earning money. I've felt a sharp dull pain, like a zap, beep, real fast. Now, I didn't know the United States Navy Academy was 2 miles approximately behind Burger King. So I'm not saying that they have anything to do with this, but I'm just saying I didn't know that. But I felt a sharp dull pain up here while I was earning money at Burger King, like beep, like that, and just sort of my frequency just went off, and I had to really take a deep breath so I can continue to perform customer service. Perform customer service and do and earn and continue to earn money as a productive citizen, as a Hebrew Muslim, Moorish American, reclaiming my actual freedom, pursuing my actual freedom, and it truly almost knocked my frequency, my vibratory rate off. But then I regained my composure and continued to smile, sweep, mop, clean, suggest to sell, restock, fill up ice bins, do all the things that I usually do, and perform teamwork. So once again, I say that because for spiritually to experience these things, I'm saying that it has to be some high science that's being done. And it shows how strategically and how long it's being done, and what they're trying to do, because bondage is a low frequency. These unclean spirits cannot exist in a high frequency atmosphere, which consists of the spirit of freedom, love, truth, peace, and justice. It can't. Okay, Islam. So this is my testimony of that. I'm trying to think what else I've noticed. They can like make if one engage, you might feel a jerk. Your arm might jerk. What I do is ignore it. I tell you, encourage your mind to ignore it. Stretching helps with the pain. When they send unclean spirits send sharp pains to the joints, stretching helps. Yogic practicing helps. It really does. Keeping my joints nice and loose and lubricant helps. If they send a sharp pain like a jerk, or not jerk, engage, and my joint jerk, just ignore it, because they've been doing it. I can't tell you how many times I recognize some of the things I'm experiencing. I recognize I experienced it 20 years ago, but I didn't know I was among a telepathic community. I had a dream 20 years ago. I had no idea I was among a telepathic community. So I didn't know. I just assumed that this disease is just something that, just look over it. Because when you don't know, you don't know. Something else that I noticed that they do, these unclean spirits are used, they are used to cause disease. These diseased, filthy abominations, what they are used for. Let's see. So I said the jerking, the sharp pains, the genitals being attacked spiritually in the open, and when you're out, or invading your sleep, sending recorded messages of music, trying to finish it, invading your thoughts. When I breathing Dewayne Byfield-Bey, when I silence my thoughts, Imani and I, and breathe, and just have a peaceful mind as this, I'm able to differentiate my true thoughts from that which is invading thoughts. Because some of them will invade telepathically, and send a thought like they're trying to help. Like some of them might try to say, get a lawyer. She needs to sue. I don't why this is I've had this telepathic message sent, and I thought this was odd, because this is because we're among a telepathic community. It's like, why would someone be encouraging or send a science of telepathy, using the science of telepathy, and say sue? But yet I've seen people come verbally on the physical plane, come into my place of employment, speaking of suing and getting a lawyer. This is at Burger King. I don't know why they do that, and that's why I try to encourage. I'll always, if I think something could be lawful, I'll let the managers know. So I let the cooks know to try to prevent any form of lawsuit. What else? What else they do to encourage chaos, encourage bondage. Chaos and encourage bondage within the spirit of Mother Earth and the universe, which that is individually, each one of us represent as soulful beings, the spirit of the earth and the universe. Fingers, jerking. I told you about scratching. One time I was scratching Monty Great Hyphen-Bey. We couldn't find a bug nowhere in this room. And the Mexican or Spanish speaking they definitely looked to be Mexican, would come around me, just scratching in front of me. And I was like, at first when I saw one do it, I didn't think nothing, but I kept seeing them come around scratching. And then I realized in Monty Great Hyphen-Bey, we were finding little, not many, just a few, but enough to notice little bites on us, and we couldn't find a bug, and they itched. And then I noticed in room 118, one time I was sleeping, and someone was breathing hard simultaneously as I was breathing, and this is right next door. So I would be like, and then the person next to it, he had to be either, I don't know how, but close to the room, like simultaneously as I breathe. So acknowledging that which can do that, is another step. And that same room is the room where I saw the United States military men come out of one morning. After so many times I would walk by, the doorknob kept jiggling over and over again. I would walk by to get coffee. I was getting several cups of coffee and hot cocoa for Imani Gray-Bey and myself. And on my last time coming back, the person opened the door. I didn't know why that knob kept jiggling next door. Opened the door, and it was the United States military man dressed in full uniform. I was surprised, because after the first time the doorknob jiggled, I didn't think nothing about it. The second time, I was like, what's going on here? Third time, I started to question it, and I had already been hearing odd noises coming from that room. What else? One of the things I told you about, the black male that came into Burger King, returning his bacon, egg, cheese croissant several times, and then as the last time it was being prepared by one of the managers, Thomas, I walked approximately 10 to 15 steps away from him because he was irate and he was making a fuss about it, and I didn't, I did what I was supposed to do. I'm a woman. I'm walking down. I'm working at Burger King. He walks down in front of me and stands in front of me like this and says, "Is there anything I can get for free?" So, in an eerie tone, and because I had already experienced being stopped by one black Negro here that I had to call the police on as I was walking to work, I definitely looked at his, I told the manager, and I looked at his license plate. Had no idea what the symbol was on his license plate and what MIL stand for. I looked it up online. It said Navy, and I thought that was odd because the proclamations of Abraham Lincoln and we as Moorish Americans, through Prophet Noble Drew teaching, Moorish American National Republic, are encouraged to uphold, through affirm the United States Constitution and these divine laws of freedom, 13th Amendment, 20th section, and to respect the military and Navy. So I thought that was a truly odd behavior coming from someone who implied to be connected to the Navy. Then now, and as I say this, and as I thought about this before, it made me think about those that are have experienced debt and supposedly debt. And so if your mind is being tampered with telepathically, that calls you to do things financially that is not favorable, that calls you to go into what they would consider in their jurisdiction of debt, and they trying to breed this filth in your line, and they trying to justify why they want to breed you as with a slave, a Moorish American, and why they should be able to possess your mind and use your body. They will use credit card or other forms of bills that needs to be paid to do so. So it made me think about that with thoughts right now and previously. As I thought about the black male saying, "Do you have anything for free?" Because if you haven't paid something that you need to pay, or not need to pay, but that they try to make it seem as though it should be paid, even though they caused this to happen. That which they trying to breed as a slave in your line, this unclean filth abomination, will use that to justify acts of terrorism spiritually, mentally, and physically. Islam. Now, okay, that's what I'm ending this with. Okay, Dewayne Byfield-Bey. So these are the things I do to stay mental balance and physical balance. And I will post this if, goodness forbid, if we are spiritually attacked because we're learning our genitals and different parts of our sexual, the nerves in our genitals. I'm encouraging Monty Gray-Bey to, so that we can understand what they're doing, these unclean spirits, when they attack while we're sleeping. Because these are acts of terrorism spiritually. They have always been acts of terrorism spiritually. We just didn't know it. Islam.